The Great North Wood project is a 4-year project at London Wildlife Trust funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, and we're working in 13 different woodland sites across south central London in an area that used to be covered by a patchwork of woodlands and wooded commons that was known as the Great North Wood. And this is an area that gives its name to current suburbs such as Norwood, Honor Oak, Gypsy Hill, where there was an encampment of gypsies that lived in the wood. And there's still little fragments of it left in the landscape today, some of which are direct descendants of the old woodland, and some of which are regrown, what we call secondary woodlands, where the site would have been cleared at some point in its history, but woodland has sprung up again. The main focus of the project is to improve sites for wildlife, to encourage regeneration of young trees so that these woods are still here for generations to come, and also to encourage local people to use these woods as recreational space and also to learn about the wildlife that lives in them. We're interested in the longevity of the woods. We want to encourage a new generation of the oak trees that cover a lot of these sites, and that's something that hasn't happened for a number of years in terms of new oak trees coming through. We've got 5 flagship species on the project that we're using to promote woodland wildlife that still exists in South London. 2 tree species, oaks and hornbeams, which are the characteristic canopy trees that still grow in these woodlands and would have done for hundreds of years. Woodpeckers that are charismatic woodland birds, particularly the great spotted woodpecker that we see in most of the sites that we work in, but more commonly you hear them drumming on the trees. The purple hairstreak is a little butterfly that's actually not very well known. It's a canopy dwelling butterfly that its entire life cycle revolves around oak trees. So the caterpillars feed on oak leaves, and the adult butterfly actually feeds on the honeydew of aphids that are living up on the oak leaves. So not very commonly seen, but we're hoping to identify where it's still living across the area, and we're quite confident that it's still common, it's just not often seen. And another species that the project's been focusing on is the stag beetle, maybe one of the most charismatic insects in Europe, and a species that's in decline across its range but still does quite well in South London. They live for up to 7 years in the ground as a larva, just feeding on rotting wood, and they have sometimes as little as 4 weeks, quite a brief moment in the sun as an adult. You can see them flying on summer evenings as the sun sets. They mate, and the female lays her eggs on a rotting piece of wood, typically a tree stump, but hopefully also on some of the stag beetle loggeries that we've made with our volunteers over the last couple of years. These are collections of logs that are submerged into the ground between 1/3 and 1/2 of their depth to allow the bottom of the wood to rot in the way that a tree stump would. I'd encourage all Londoners to get out and about and to explore the Great North Wood and other green spaces across our city. We are lucky to live in a city that still has so much green space, and it's really something that we should be treasuring and exploring. And I'd encourage all of you to get out and about wherever you live and explore your local woodland and cherish it and fight for it whenever they need to be protected.